Stuff happens, people. It happens. You trip when you're going up the walk trying to go to a listing. Sometimes you get lost with a buyer and you're taking them around corners. We just were here. I know we were just here. And you keep going, okay? This is the reality of our lives. You know this happens all the time. It is not going to be perfect. It can start out that way, but it's how you react to it that happens. And what I have discovered, having been a human resources manager of over 190 employees, what I've discovered in being a broker, a manager, a designated broker, and we had 27 licensees watching them grow and move, is that they were always so afraid of failure, afraid to take that chance to do something like that, because the question is, what if it doesn't work? No, the question should be, but what if it does?
Wow, what can I tell you about Carol Murray? She's a barrel of laughs.
When you get older, there's something that happens to women. We get menopausal. And things start expanding when you don't expect it. I used to be really thin, light, like a will-o-wisp. I would float, okay? I was thin. And all of a sudden, I started bloating. My waistline expanded beyond my bust line. That is terribly unfortunate. But the whole point being is that I didn't realize it because I wore elastic. Elastic stretch. And see, that's what we do in our business. We find things and we keep doing our thing every day. And then all of a sudden, we stop and go, wait a minute. That's not working anymore. No, I can't blame the dry cleaners for why my sleeves went up to here and my pants started being high water pants. It was expanding with the elastic. Well, I happened to be looking in the mirror and I saw a rear end I'd never seen before. I actually saw it. And I went into my husband's office. I don't know if that's ever happened to you with his Bob, but they come in and I go, Rick, whose rear end is this? And he goes, your mother's. Honesty. Seriously, honesty. And so I spent the next 4 years comparing my rear end to my mother's, and it's unfortunate I did become her.
She can make you think. She can inspire you.
Your career choice is instrumental. We see licensees, in fact, I think of Stefan Swanepoel that came up with some sort of a statistic, something like 72% of real estate licensees are out of the business within the first 2 years because we find that it doesn't fit your temperament. Well, I think you can work this business to fit your temperament. In fact, I never heard it and learned more about it than with my son. My husband, being 6'3", being Scottish, was an all-American football player in college. All-American. All he wanted was a boy that would play college football and then go to the NFL. And so our son, when we lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, was already playing full contact football by the time he was in second grade. Full contact. I'm freaking out, but my husband's going, hoo, hoo. Hoo, look at him go, kill him. That's what it was. And my son grew, and he thrived, and he was wonderful in school. And he found that when he'd come onto the field, the crowd would go nuts because my son was really great in terms of defense. Then, when he's 18 years old, he's in high school, and in May, we have a private college that contacts us, sits down and offers my son a full ride scholarship. And if he'd come to play football, he had a 3.8 grade average. They said, come in. And we knew if he took this, he would be set for life because the alumni took care of the kids. And my husband had already bought the colors, red shirt. He got a red hat, and it was awesome. He was ready to go pack a lunch and go watch our kid play football anywhere in the country. Ben takes me out to dinner. He has 2 days left to decide to take this. He takes me out to dinner, not Rick. He sits down and he goes, Mom, I don't want to do football. And then he goes, Mom, I also don't want to go to college. I had saved $50,000, killed myself to try and get this kid through college. I thought, I'm having a stroke. And he goes, well, Mom, here's the thing. He goes, I'm pitching a nerve in my shoulder. I'm dislocating my hip. It seems like every fifth game. He says, and here's what I know, that if I go play college ball, it escalates. Bigger people, harder hits. And he says, what I want to do, he says, I'm only 18 years old, but I want to walk with my children when I'm in my 30s. An 18-year-old made a decision on his life that he couldn't even imagine 10 to 12 years down the road. And I went, okay. Then we had to go home and tell my husband. He looks and he goes up to Rick and he goes, Dad, I'm just going to tell you something. I am not going to accept the scholarship. I'm not going to college. I'm not going to play football. Rick looks at him and he goes, okay. And he walked out onto the deck. And Ben goes, that was easy. And he took off to go whatever kids do at 18 when they've just told their father the most devastating news possible. I went onto the deck, and that's when I saw my husband crying for the second time in my life. The first time he cried was at our wedding. That was because of joy. Joy. He's on this deck, and he is sobbing. And I looked at Rick, and he goes, I'm not going to be able to see him, and it's all I ever wanted. And I go, don't you understand what we did? Somewhere along the way, we created a foundation in that child that he could stand up against indoctrination that had been taking place for almost 12 years of his life. And he said, no. I got this picture last year that I'm going to show you. And the message under this picture is my son with his 2-year-old boy. And the message said, this is why I didn't play football.
But most of all, she makes you work. She makes you work hard to figure out what's the truth and what is the quality of excellence.
I had the pleasure of being with Karel Murray all day. 2 separate classes, one on buyers, one on negotiating. I feel strong, confident that I can go out, get those buyers off the fence, and get some negotiating done.
She has great materials, she engages everybody, she keeps them involved in the process, and you go away with great materials, great takeaways that you can come back to time and again and learn something more each time you come back to it.
Did a buyer disappear on you? You better find out why. Is a seller all of a sudden not being responsive to you? Why is that happening? I want you to really look hard at what you've done. In fact, if you do yourself a favor, why don't you contact the last 5 people that you worked with and maybe have 3 questions. Did you feel that I cared for you? Did you feel that I could help you? And did you trust me during the transaction? Because I think those are really important things. Ask them about how you did the business. Or those of you that are broker managers and owners, you can make the phone calls. I did that automatically. Anybody with me? 3 weeks after the closing, I called every single customer and client. Because here's my belief. My company is only as good as the weakest link.
I am very pleased to recommend Karel Murray as an outstanding speaker for your next seminar or association event. She is a tremendous storyteller, has a great message, and I can't say enough good things about her in front of the room.
This girl was so terrified. I thought she was going to have a heart attack on stage, and I know you have been there when you walk into your first listing appointment and you wonder if you're even going to get through it because your heart is pounding through your chest and you're wondering, will they see that I really don't know anything right now, but I'm working with you really hard. Or we're going up against competition with the #1 sales associate has just interviewed just before you, and then you show up and you say, please like me. When's the last time that you took a chance?
She was outstanding. She had the audience engaged. They were very, very complimentary and absolutely felt that they came out of her session with their money's worth. It was very, very pleasing to me to hear that the response was that strong.
And I made a decision. I turned to my husband-to-be and I said, don't come back unless you plan on marrying me. Do you know how fast they leave when you say something like that? Literally burned out. Rubber took off in his little Plymouth, just disappeared, and I thought, well, bye-bye, bye-bye, okay? But I thought, here's the person that can give me joy, the smile. He accepted me who I was. Well, Rick showed back up 3 days later, knocking on the door. And I said, so, does this mean what I think it is? And he goes, yep. He goes, you ready to set a date? And I said, yep. And we set it for 4 months down the road. We had to give my mother a little time. He said, you ready to go get a ring? And I went, uh-huh. And we were officially engaged after our 2nd date. We were done. Because, see, that's about making decisions. This choice set a path that started changing my life forever. Because, see, I planned on being a tax attorney, and I was going to be working in Washington, D.C., behind closed doors working numbers, because I was afraid of people. Look what I'm doing now. Because I married a man that understood anything is possible, okay? So think about that. It's a choice, and it changed the path of where we went. Well, here's what
Every time we've had Karel, we're delighted. We love to have her back. Everyone is glad to see her once again. She comes in, hits her mark, and works hard every time.
There are things in our lives and our paths that take us and make us who we are. And for me, here I am the gorilla girl. Okay, gorilla girl, I was actually called that. and I was 5'9", babushka, I hadn't had a date. And finally, Finally, in 11th grade, I have a guy who's 25 years old. He was going to Nyack, a junior college. He asked me out. I couldn't believe it. Now, the problem was Sam was only 5'4". He's about this tall, came up to my armpit, okay? But the thing is, he had like this beautiful hair that just floated. It was long, and he was, the belt buckle was awesome, and the teeth. When he smiled, my heart melted. I go, that's a man. A man has asked me out. This is unbelievable, and I'm now in a bra. This is cool. This is awesome. And see, I've been practicing for years. I don't know if you did this. Men, women alike, I don't know if you ever practiced kissing. See, I have an older sister, and she said, well, someday it'll happen. I hope. And she goes, here, and she taught me how to, you kiss your, and she kept saying, don't lick. You're not supposed to lick. You do that later. I did not know that. But just don't lick. And you do that. And then she goes, don't put the finger, she was like really trying to be real careful because you have to be really cool on your first kiss. And the whole time when we go to the movies, there's this beautiful smile. We go to the movie and he is eating like these Jubie Jubes. You remember those? They were really gummy and they ate those. They don't have those anymore. Some of you remember that. And he's chewing away on the gummy bears or whatever they are. And I'm thinking the whole time I'm leaning into him and then he did one of these, and the hand, oh, he's going to kiss me. My heart. And that's all I could think of. And so you lean into him. Oh, you smell good. Men smell. Yes. So I leaned into him this whole time, and then we walk home. He's holding my hand, and I kept thinking he's going to kiss me. He's going to kiss me. I'm going to get ready. But see, now I'm having a little problem. He's this tall. And I thought, what do I do when he tries? Do I lean down? Hello. Do I like lift him up? Hello. I heard that if you lay on the ground and he's right here, that would be awesome. I seriously thought I could just lay on the sidewalk and we could like roll in the hay, you know, something like that would be awesome. Oh, when you get old, you can't do that very often. And so here we are, I'm getting this all figured out what I want to do, and I'm thinking about it the whole time. Man smell. And finally, he gets to the front of my house, the light's on, and he goes, Carol, may I kiss you? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yes, you can. Oh, yes, you can. Yeah. He goes, shut up. And then what he does, something fascinating. He gets up and he walks up 2 steps. He is now my height. Oh, he is brilliant. He has figured it out and he's up 2 steps. And then he turns around and he has his back to me and he's messing around for some reason in his face. And when he comes and turns around, he has his teeth in his hands. You have teeth in your hand. Yeah, I do. I go, what are you doing? All right. In the movie, the gummy bears got in behind my denture. See, I was in Vietnam, and I lost all my teeth because of shrapnel. And they kind of were falling and loose in my mouth. And so I had to decide whether I leave them in or if I take them out. And so I took him out. I go, what did you think I was going to do, suck them right out of your face? And he goes, I didn't know. And so I do know what it's like to kiss someone with no teeth. I don't want to do it again. It was awful. That was my first kiss. Those are my dating endeavors. I mean, I would go out with a guy, I'd hug him, and I'm very strong, and then they go, oh, like that, they make that noise. I broke a rib once. I didn't mean to. I got a little exuberant. And they're like, what did you do? It's like, what? You know that noise? It's not good.
Karel is just as effective, in a small group of 5 people online and just as connected with them as she is with 1,000 people in a main stage environment. Her keynotes are wonderful, her facilitation skills are wonderful, and I promise you, if you hire Karel for whatever your needs may be, you absolutely will not be disappointed.
I never know what's going to come out of my mouth because I customize literally everything that I do when I present to groups because, again, it's not about me. It's about seeing where the journey we're going to go and what do we want to accomplish.
She was very well received by our audience, and she really went the extra mile for us. She had a presentation planned, and after speaking to our attendees the night before, she stayed up all night rewriting her presentation so it would be perfect for our audience, and it absolutely was.
You always get your money's worth with Karel.
I first came in contact with Karel when I attended a conference back in '09 in Des Moines, and I was very impressed with the way that she presented herself and her topics, and she really got her point across. So when the opportunity arose for me to find a speaker to discuss communication with a specific group of our members, I immediately thought of Karel, chatted with her a little bit and explained to her what I was looking for, and she was more than willing to find out about our group and the goals we were trying to reach with the retreat that we had. She worked very closely with me, came up with some wonderful scenarios, and I was a little nervous because we had never done this before. Usually on these retreats we have how should I put it, sort of career-specific topics where communication was more broad-based, and we were a little nervous how that would go over with the attendees. So we gave her the entire morning to do her workshop, and she could have gone on all day. She was phenomenal, and the crowd really got into it. They really enjoyed it. Heavy participation, a lot of laughter, and at the end of it, when I was talking to people, they were totally blown away by Karel. And when I read the evaluations, I asked them if Karel had met their expectations, and she got a 5 out of a possible 5. And when I asked them if they would be able to take what Karel had taught them back to their workplace and apply it in a positive and productive manner, an overwhelming 5 out of 5. So Karel hit the ball right out of the park. She blew everybody away. We could not have been happier with her, and I would highly recommend Karel Murray to do anyone's conference.
It is about choices. Thank you.